This is a difficult one to cover, but we have to know what happened to baby Tanna Rae, especially with the Mohave County Attorney's Office trying to determine if her parents can face charges for negligent homicide. The decision to forward the case that was believed to be an accident to the county attorney's office was made after the Mohave County Sheriff received the autopsy report. So what happened to baby Tanna Rae, and how did she end up losing her life? What did the autopsy report show that forced the sheriff's office to try and seek negligence homicide charges? Let's find out. Back in July 5th, 2024, Matthew and Alyssa Wroblewski were boating with their 2 young children on Lake Havasu, a popular spot that's known as the jet ski capital of the world. The temperature was quite high, so Tanna Rae's parents started putting her in the water to help keep her body temperature low. About 5 p.m. that day, the baby was put down for a nap shortly after breastfeeding. She was wearing damp clothing covering her body, with her body beneath a covered section of the boat with a fan blowing in her direction. The parents reportedly entered the water for a brief period of time and returned to the boat to find the decedent unresponsive, with blood exiting her nose and clear fluid coming from her mouth, the autopsy report states. The family reportedly called for emergency services and initiated cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR. Emergency personnel arrived on scene about 15 minutes later to observe a family member performing CPR, which had gone on for about 5 minutes. EMS personnel described the infant as pulseless, apneic, and cool to the touch with pale extremities. There was no obvious trauma observed. Resuscitation efforts were continued and an intraosseous catheter was placed. Tanna Rae was transferred to the receiving hospital about 5:32 p.m. Following multiple rounds of performed CPR and doses of epinephrine, her death was pronounced at 11:41 p.m. that day. Her family was devastated, and her mother couldn't help but share their feelings and photos to the world. 2 days after his death, her family set up a GoFundMe account and have managed to raise over $48,000. But Devin C., the campaign organizer, suspended donations 3 days after setting up the campaign. The page said that Tanna Rae lost consciousness and was immediately administered CPR until the Lake Havasu City Fire Department arrived to take over life-saving duties. Medical personnel at the hospital did everything in their power to revive her, but God had other plans and took Tanna to heaven that night. Our precious baby girl gave us her last smiles and we gave her our last kisses, the page added. We will never understand why you had to leave so soon. You were just too perfect. The subsequent media reports and posts drew criticism from people online, with a huge percentage of people blaming the parents. Change.org petitions were created to have her parents investigated and, if found guilty, charged. This prompted the sheriff's office to open an investigation. After her death, an autopsy report was conducted July 7, 2024, and completed January 31, 2025, by the Maricopa County Medical Examiner. The report describes the infant's death as an accident caused by complications of environmental heat exposure and elevated environmental temperatures. Her listed injuries include the following: hemorrhagic shock, a rapid decrease in hemoglobin, dehydration, flattened fontanelles, vascular collapse as demonstrated by difficulty with vascular access, low fluid intake and output over prior 24 hours, an anoxic brain injury, and a cerebral edema. A separate toxicology report also obtained by Newsweek revealed that the child's electrolytes were within normal ranges, and a nasopharyngeal swab tested negative for respiratory viral pathogens. The sheriff's office then forwarded their findings to the Mohave County Attorney's Office, who will determine if her parents can face charges for negligence homicide. We'll keep you updated.